This is Boxing Tickets NI, and we are joined with Northern Ireland's only female professional boxer, Cathy McAleer.
How you doing?
All's good, Cathy. How's yourself?
All's good. We're starting to come through COVID, so thankfully we're coming out the other end. I hope there isn't a second wave. It's been a tough time.
Definitely has, and I think, I don't think it really touched much in COVID because it's obviously bad news for people. Nobody wants to hear bad news nowadays,
No.
But obviously the good news is we seem to be coming out the other side, so everything's turning positive again.
Yeah. Lockdown's starting to lift in a number of areas, and hopefully it continues to do that and people be smart. Yeah.
Good news for you obviously as well, being a personal trainer, that things do get back to normal, so you can start getting an income in again.
That's it. It was a bit of a shock whenever you had to shut the studio, you had to close, run 2 karate schools. And all of a sudden you're not working, you're sitting at home and you've obviously training and keep going. So I had to bring my business online and I ended up building basically nearly a new business online with companies, and I trained staff with big companies online throughout lockdown, so it kept me busy and kept me fit.
The best way that you like to be, I think, every time you see your stuff on social media, you're flat out everything. Did you think you said you're 6 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night, so you're a workhorse?
Pretty much. Whenever the studio's open at 6 o'clock in the morning and I work right up to 10, that's so I can fit my boxing training, so I take out my peak times that I'm in, obviously in the club or I'm out for a run, and then the clients are aware of that and they're happy, and thankfully a lot of them support me on that, so it's good.
Definitely. So I guess obviously we're not really sort of talking to the life and times of Cathy. You've obviously coming up now 2 years since you made your professional debut, not so far away from here in Short Social Club.
Yeah, that was an amazing night. Obviously a big night for me coming into boxing, first fight, and had massive local support. It was a great setup. The ring was quite low down, the crowd was quite high up, so you felt like the crowd was right on top of you. So the atmosphere was unreal at that fight. I really enjoyed it. We did have a head clash. It did have an opening in the first 30 seconds, which I thought, oh my goodness, this is all I need. But we got through and we got the win, and it was a good fight. It wasn't the best fight, but certainly kicked off the career, yeah.
I remember, I remember tweeting during the fight, and I was saying, when people seen the scorecards and sort of things, it wouldn't sort of tell a tale what the fight was, but it was just all action for the 40-minute rounds, and fair play to obviously to Dora.
It was non-stop war, so it was good. It was.
I think you fought her twice now, and obviously your current record is now 4-0, but you've fought Dora twice.
Yeah, the second time was a lot better. The second time was in a bigger venue too in Aston Villa. We travelled out to Birmingham, and obviously just signed with Kellie. And we went out with a game plan, which I went out in the first fight, which was to box and show my skill that I could box. Because a lot of people would have thought, coming from kickboxing, coming from karate, can't you box as well? So going into the ring in Aston Villa, I had in my head, we're going out here to box, we're going out here to show your skills and hit and not get hit, which most boxers try to do. But in that first fight, whenever the head clash came, the game plan went out the window and it turned into a survival. I need to survive this. I was nearly out of my feet. The head clash was that heavy. I felt my legs go, and thankfully I was able to maintain myself to the end of that round and get back. But in Aston Villa, it was a different fight. It was a more skillful fight, and I was more happier with it, and so was Kellie. So yeah, it was good.
I think the fear factor sort of kicks in, particularly in a head clash in your first fight, and you're going, what's going on here? I can't lose. I have to do what I have to do to win.
Yeah, I was thinking, and the referee said to Eamon McGee, who was in my corner, thankfully he was my cutsman. He says, if the cut doesn't close, it's declared a draw at this stage. And I thought, no way, not my first fight. And Eamon goes, I'll get a shot, don't worry. And I says, right, okay. And John was going, oh, look at your head. I think he wasn't used to a female in the corner and how I was going to react, because it was his first fight with me. So I think John was kind of thinking, look at the blood, is this wee girl going to stop? Is she going to want to fight? But he didn't know, because I was more interested. Am I winning? What I need to do? And John was going, she's not worried about her head. And you can see him then coming around and going, hey, we get that cut close, and right, Cathy, this is what you've got to do. And then we went back out and we got through the fight, and then we closed it, thankfully. So
I guess for obviously anybody watching the interview that probably doesn't know of who you are and obviously where you've come from, can you explain a wee bit? Obviously you haven't just been a boxer, you've obviously fought in other disciplines before as well.
I've done sport from a very young age. I was always sporty, from playing football in the garden with my wee brother Marty. I was more interested in sport than I was in school, and they used to have to pin me down and say, you've got to do your schoolwork too. I played for Down Ladies Gaelic Football Club, I played for Breda football, and that's where my sporting career probably took off, was through the GAA. And then I got put into a local karate school on the Ormer Road, Rosario, and I trained with a gentleman called Terry Boyle, who trained me for years. He brought me 2 world titles, not only helped me in sport, helped me in school life, and helped me develop me and push for my education as well. It wasn't just about the sport, it was all make sure you're doing your GCSEs, make sure you're doing this, make sure you go to university. Even if filled in my university application paperwork with me to push me on, which I'm so thankful for, and he's a big part still today, comes every boxing fight still today. It was him that actually said to me, go and try kickboxing. I won the 2 world titles in karate, opened 2 schools, and I went to Billy Murray. He brought me down, and I spent 13 and a half years with Billy Murray. So we travelled the world with Billy. I won a world title in kickboxing, I won a European, I won an Irish title, I won a Celtic title in kickboxing. And then we realised, right, where we're going with this, and he turned me professional, and I went into K1, which is low kick, knees. It's a wee bit more intense, so it is. And we started doing low kick, travelled the world low kick, fought for a world title in K1 in the Ulster Hall. It's a big fight, and it was declared a draw. And I was gutted on the night because I thought I'd done enough to win, and so did the crowd, and they declared it a draw. So I waited for 3 years for a rematch, and it kind of didn't really materialise. And at that stage, I kind of felt I've done everything I can. There's nowhere else for me to go. I didn't see anywhere avenue for me to go. So I stepped back and thought, right, I'm going to focus on my career, my own personal gym and studio and stuff with my clients. And then a gentleman called Harry McAleer, a big boxing commentator, met me for coffee and says, you always were keen on the boxing, and Terry had said to me, give it a go, go for it. So Harry introduced me to John Breen, and that's where the boxing kicked off. And you know, I'm glad I did it, because from a very young age, what I wanted to do was be a boxer. I always wanted to be a boxer. I used to watch Barry McGuigan from a kid and go, wow, he's amazing, I want to do that. And never ever really got the opportunity, just didn't live in the right area where there's a boxing club close by. And to get the opportunity at the end it's been brilliant. This is what I wanted to do.
And as I say, it's, you know, just thinking back there, you know, and obviously the career you have, you know, highly experienced, you know, sometimes you say that obviously experience is everything, but you've obviously had different disciplines. So going back to your debut, you obviously knew when you got the head clash not to panic and just...
Yeah, I think experience in that fight saved me, because straight away we're always trained in kickboxing. If you ever feel anything, hold on, breathe. And the main thing is the breathing. Get your head clear, breathe. And I remember feeling the head come and my legs go, and I grabbed and held. And I thought, oh my goodness. I remember composing myself as I was breathing, going, right, let's think clearly. You're just going to jab, and you're going to get through this round, you're going to just jab. So I kept breathing. The referee's trying to split us up, and I was still holding. And then he's just split. So we split, and I can remember one voice, and it was a gentleman called Olio, he's a local coach, and he just said my name, Cathy, it's your jab, Cathy, it's your jab. And I thought, you're right, it is. And I just jabbed until the bell rang, and I went back to my seat. I thought, but see, if you weren't experienced, you didn't have that experience of breathing, relaxing, don't panic, you could have went another way, And it's the experience of staying calm. I've been in scenarios where I've been in Russia and I've been 4-0 down, and there's a minute left in the clock, and it means everything to you, and you've been able to track back with experience because you keep that composure and think, don't panic, whereas a lot of other fighters maybe panic and think, let's just go for it, and they get caught. So yeah, experience, I suppose, stands good stead, doesn't it? Yeah.
Definitely does. Obviously, you know, looking back, obviously your second fight, sort of nearly breaking a new history. You were the first female fighter in 18 years to fight at the Ulster Hall.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it whenever Mark Dunlop actually told me that you're going to make history here, so you are. I fought obviously in the Ulster Hall through the kickboxing, I fought in the Odyssey through the kickboxing and big fights. To get back to the historic Ulster Hall is amazing. It's one of my favourite places, and the crowd and the atmosphere is great. So I know Deirdre Nelson fought in the Ulster Hall. She was the first pro female to fight, and that had been just over 18 years ago. So yeah, it was good to bring female boxing back in there as a profession.
It's definitely you're breaking new boundaries. Obviously for female boxing, obviously being the only female in Northern Ireland, but obviously they go back the places where female boxers haven't been in quite a while, and obviously the historic venue like Ulster Hall, which has always been used more since that show as well. So obviously I know MTK has been using it locally as well a lot.
Hopefully there'll be a lot more females that'll keep coming through the ranks. There's so many brilliant amateurs, Belfast has such good talent, and if there's some kind of drive for the females, then I reckon there's going to be some amazing female professional fighters coming through. You've got Kellie Walsh, you have so many, Carly McNaught, there's so many. I've watched them all, there's so much talent, it's good.
And you'd obviously Lewis Crocker's sister, who was actually, I think it was the first, there was something to do with a fight with Katie Taylor a good few years back. I think there was nearly the first fight that sort of brought a focal point more onto female boxing.
Right, okay, I wasn't with that, I must have a look, Google that.
Yeah, as I say, it's sort of, I know Lewis, his sister, joined the army, and her husband is a professional boxer now as well, so sort of keeping it within the family, but she would have boxed Katie during the amateurs, and I think there's something to do with it was videoed or something in some way that it sort of brought a spotlight more on women's boxing.
Brilliant. Well, what Katie's doing for women's boxing is unreal. What a big fight coming up, and she's proved herself so many times. She doesn't really need to prove herself again, and she's been a massive inspiration. And when I was at her fight in Manchester, I would like to watch it, and the young girls that come up to ringside at the end with pictures, with paintings, with signatures, and Katie took time with them, and that's her. She's such a nice nature about her too, and it was lovely to see the young girls looking up to her and thinking, that's where I want to be, that's my role model. So she's a massive inspiration, Katie.
And what was it like for you watching, obviously, watching most of her fights, on the TV and things, and going to Manchester and seeing her in person, were you sort of going, whoa?
Yeah, it was unreal. It was brilliant to be in the atmosphere and the crowd and seeing the support. I actually got to see Amir Khan, got to see some of the big boxers. So it was brilliant. We were right up at the side where the boxers were coming out. Katie stopped, we got a picture with her, she shook my hand. She's so personable, which is brilliant. It was just a real night, it was a brilliant night, it was, really enjoyed getting over.
Definitely was, and obviously a rematch with Delphine Pearson tomorrow night, so obviously, from hearing you speak and stuff there, all it's going to be is a Kellie one.
I would say tomorrow night's not going to be easy, it's going to be tough. I would say it's going to be a battle of the fittest. Whoever's the fittest will come through that, because both girls are very high quality fighters. If Katie fights smart and fights her pace and her game plan, I really do believe she'll come right through it. But it'll come down to the final rounds, and I think it'll come right down to fitness. So,
as I sort of seen in the first fight, you could sort of see it in the last round. Katie was out on her feet, and you're sort of going, ring the bell, ring the bell.
Yeah, I know everybody's shouting that. But it's going to be an amazing fight. Both ladies are amazing, and there's nothing, anything can happen all night. You just don't know. You can take it on a lucky shot. Some people can say, I'm going to knock you out, I'm going to do this, but you can go down so easy. The wrong shot at the wrong time, or you drop your hand at the wrong time. It's a sport that you can never tell what's going to happen.
And I think with anything that it can go one way, it can go the other. What have you made of the fights in fight camp so far? We've obviously had Rachel Ball's stunning victory over Shannon Courtney last week, and the week before that with Natasha Jonas and Terry Harper.
Yeah, amazing. I've been watching them all. Rachel Ball put up an amazing fight. She's tall, she's lanky, she's got great reach. She had great speed, great fitness, and she used her reach and her speed to her advantage. It was a brilliant one. It was a great one for her. Obviously, I've watched James Tennyson, what a fighter, and what power, and how he finished his fight was superb. He's going to go for it. He's done brilliant. And Terry Harper's coming on really well. She's doing great. It was a great fight to watch. All three superb fights. This weekend, I obviously watched Carl Frampton last weekend, and I watched Michael Conlan. So it's good to see boxing, but without the crowd, it's like you can see it's a bit different too. So you've got two angles. You want the sport to continue to go, but you also want to feel a bit of warmth from the crowd behind them as well. It's hard.
And is it sort of getting you the sort of bug of going back into a fight camp yourself?
I am. I'm very good. The management teams stayed with me. They've kept me safe during COVID. I was in Birmingham at a camp. I was going to fight in April, and that was pulled. So they sent me home early for my own safety, which was good. So I got to get back home before the lockdown fully happened. So I've literally been training away with Joe Dunbar, my sports physiologist. He's been on a weekly call. He's been telling me, how's this going, how's that going, change this, change that. So they've been keeping me right, keeping me positive and motivated throughout, which is hard because you're on your own, you're self-isolating, you've got to do it, no one else will do it for you. And now next week they're sending me out for some female sparring in Swindon. So I haven't been out, so I'm looking forward to getting out, so I'm heading out Wednesday.
Definitely, and obviously with all that, the excitement of watching other fights and going, let's get back in and have a tear up ourselves.
Not been in the ring from my last fight, not sparred, and you lose that distance, time, and you lose that, it's a different fitness. You can run and you can hit a bag as much as you want, but whenever you're in the ring sparring, it's totally different. You have to be composed, you've got a gum shield in, you've got a head guard, you've got someone hitting you. So it's a totally different experience, and to get back out next week and brush off the rust and get back in, feel the ring, feel the distance, feel time will be amazing. Yeah.
I'm guessing for obviously anybody watching this interview, they always see a cheerful, happy, as you always are, Cathy. It'd be so easy to be obviously negative, obviously, over the last year you've had 4 cancelled fights.
Yeah, I've had a rough start. Whenever I think back, John said to me, anybody else would have quit. Because after the first, I got the first couple of fights, really good wins, and then I got offered a Commonwealth title, and I trained as hard as I've ever trained for about 12-week camp, and fight being pulled last minute, sold tickets, so done sponsorship, I'd done everything I was meant to do, and then I got another hope. Okay, Kirsten Fraser's pulled out, here's Ella, and we'll put you in at this for this one. I thought, great, go again. So went for another 8-9 weeks and then it was pulled. So as a fighter, you kind of go, where's this going? What's happening? And that's where I kind of said to myself, no, I've got to keep going. So I kept going back to the club, and John says, you're still training hard, you're still coming back every night. I said, I have to. If I don't, then, I'm sending myself unfinished. So I kept going, and I kept thinking, how am I going to get a promoter or a manager that's going to give me the fights that I need? And through Twitter, I tweeted Kellie Maloney, and it worked, it came together. As soon as I first spoke to Kellie, I knew I can work with this lady. She's great, she gets me, she understands where I am, she's read my past, she's read what I've won. And I was like, wow, I've actually got someone that understands me and sees my success in the past and how it could benefit me in the future. So signing with Kellie was a massive step for me, and I thought, yeah, we're back on track. Got that first fight. We did a brilliant press conference in Belfast in the Merchant Hotel. It was great. Kellie had a plan laid out. She got me with sports physiologist, which I've never had. She had me with different nutritional training, my camps, where I was going, and she'd laid out a plan of action, how many fights we're going to have in the year here. So went to Aston Villa, did the fight, had a great win, came home, went to Birmingham for fight camp with John Pegg. Was doing some great training with some great fighters at John Pegg's club, and then COVID kicked in. I just had a knock, and then, but you know what, it happens, and that's life. If you don't take it in your stride and go, whatever's meant to be will be. That's where I look upon it, and I love training, so I probably would still be training even if I wasn't fighting,
Yeah.
So it's good to stay in shape, obviously, for my clients and for my own business and for my own mental mind. It's brilliant. If I don't train, I kind of like, I have to do something. You miss it.
I guess it obviously shows the sort of person you are, that, throughout the cancelled fights and obviously COVID and everything else, you're still smiling at the other end of it. So I think for anybody, they could take anything. No matter what happens, you just have to keep trucking on.
You just have to keep going, and that's probably part of the discipline embedded in me from a very young age through the karate. It's very disciplined. You do as you're told, and you train, and you work hard, and you'll achieve. And that was always embedded in me from a very young age. You put in 100%, and you'll get out what you put in into anything. And after COVID, was I so glad to see clients come back in, someone to talk to. In the house with the dog over COVID was tough, and it was just me and him. I don't know how many walks we did. I think I was coming in, sitting down, and I was going, I'll take it back out again. Just to get out. So it's good to see people back in training as well too.
Definitely is. Obviously, as I say, fingers crossed, it keeps going the way it is. Obviously, since you turned pro in November 2018, we obviously had Katie Taylor beforehand. Was obviously putting boxing back on the map in the UK and Ireland. But what do you think it is about women's boxing so much on the rise at the moment? Is it just that people seeing the good that's coming out of it and wanting more publicity from it? Or
I think maybe women's sport in general is starting to come up. If you look at the ladies' football, Whenever I watched it, I was like, wow, look at the standard, look at the crowd, look at the TV support it's getting. And you can see the women's sports just rising and rising and rising. And then with Katie fighting and winning, doing great stuff, and Terry Harper coming up. And obviously, back in the day, you got Jane Couch, you've got loads of females that were really trying to push it off whenever it was really hard. They were being told no, no, no. I can see now people are realising these women are just as good, they train just as hard, they put their heart and soul into it, they're skillful. If you watch Katie Taylor fight and you put her in a ring with one of the guys, she would hold her own, she would probably hold her own. So people are starting to see it's just as much skillful, and they're enjoying watching it, they're enjoying the different personalities coming through too, which is good.
I think obviously in the early days of obviously in the amateur boxing with Katie, you know, she always found it tough to find females to spar with, so I think, you know, she sparred Paddy Barnes, sparred Declan Garrity. I think she used Eric Donovan, who obviously fought last weekend quite a lot as well. So, you know, it sort of laid the foundations in place for her for the future, and going, well, I've fought with all the blokes now, I just had to fight the women. And
exact same with myself and the karate and the kickboxing, they're all male dominant sports. My whole career since I was young, I always sparred fellas, and the whole way through the kickboxing we sparred, like Gary Hamilton and all the top end K1 fighters. And that's what drawed you on, you know, if they were stronger, then you had to change your game plan, you had to stay on the outside, you had to be faster, or if they were taller, you had to get in close. And you kind of learned a lot. And there's this sort of respect there between the two of you that both you knew where you stood. And they didn't go easy on you by any means, because you had to hit your hard back, and that's where it was. But yeah, that was part and parcel of coming through the martial arts. Was I was always training with guys, I was always in the club with guys. So when I go into the boxing, and the first thing John said to me, "You need to get a female for you to spar," I was going, "Why? Should I spar any guys?" And he goes, no, just the females. And I said, no, I've sparred guys all my life. And then he actually gave up one day and put one of the guys in with me, and then he realised, oh, she does actually spar me. And I said to the guy, "I hope you don't mind." And I said, "Thanks very much for giving me this opportunity." I felt like I was thanking him for sparring me, because none of the guys wanted to spar me. And then this, it was Ruin Farrell, do you know Ruin? He was turning pro just at that stage, and Ruin got in the ring. He's tall, he's lanky, he's long, he's got good amateur experience. And me and him trained hard, and we had some really good spars. He even mentioned to me on Facebook the other night, he just, that's our good spars. So we did, and there was no hold back for either of us, because we both knew, you push me, I get out of it. What I need to get out of it, I push you, you'll get out of it. And that's what you need. You need someone in with you that's pushing you, as well as you're learning a bit from them too.
Definitely. And you always just touched on John Breen, you know, I'm sure it's obviously quite an honour for you to be training under. I wouldn't even like to sit down and work out how long John's been in boxing, how many world champions and things he's trained.
He's so many stories, and he's so much history and background, and some of the stuff he comes off with and tells you. Obviously him and Eamon's got loads of history, and Martin Rogan came down to the press conference. He's trained so many, Neil Sinclair, and he's such an inspirational man. He's a gentleman too. I'm sure COVID was hard on him, because gym closed, he's out, he has to self-isolate, obviously being a mature guy. But John's been amazing from the start of the career. He's behind me. It was his birthday during lockdown, and him and the wife drove me over some cake, and I said, "Why do I eat this?" He goes, "Get on the scales before and get on after." And I was laughing. So John's been great. He's been really supportive. He realises that I need professional sparring from females. He realised that I'm going out to camps now in Birmingham, and I'm going to Swindon, and he pushes that and says, go for it, you've got one chance at this. And obviously at my age, you do have one chance at it.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing, and Kellie stays in contact, and she's basically saying, "We need to get out here, we need to get there." So I'm going where I'm told and doing what I'm told to do.
Keeping yourself,
I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
Keeping yourself prepared in case things change drastically.
That's it.
I think the one memory I always have of John Breen's gyms is Super Stairs.
Yeah.
You know, it could be 30 degrees outside and the Super Stairs are still blasting. And
you go in and the heat's unreal. So it is, from the minute you walk through the door, you can just feel it. And he lives by it and says this is the best way of getting you fit. So if you go to the ring, and every single fight I was fit as a fiddle, so you can't, even during lockdown, I have an air conditioning unit in this room and I turn it on to heat just because of John saying, you know, you should be training it, you should be in this. So there's times I come in here for a run and I put the heat up to the maximum 20 minutes before I come in and then do my run. It's not the same heat as a super sure, mind you. It's like kind of different heat, but it still gives you that kind of effect. But there's knowledge and experience with fighting is unreal.
So obviously anybody who's looking can obviously see if it's for women. Obviously on your t-shirt there.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, they're a massive sponsor of mine. They came on board basically whenever I started out boxing. I had two fights whenever they signed me. They signed me for 2 years. Without them, it's impossible. And then during COVID, I was thinking, I'm not boxing, and they were totally behind me. They said, Cathy, we're with you here. So they helped me get out to the camps. The camps are expensive, between your flights, accommodation, your transport back and forth, your food. It's impossible without them. So it's for women. GMB, massive support for me, sponsor. Carbon Claw are great. They supply all my gloves. Their gloves are amazing. I love their gloves, the sparring gloves and bag mitts. And then Signature Works, they provide me kit whenever I'm getting in the ring and any logos and stuff that I need. And they're a local company and they do all school kit and stuff. And I couldn't thank them enough. Without the sponsors, any professional boxers stuck.
And you actually have a sponsor in Portugal as well?
Yeah, I have a sponsor of Leeds Irish pub in Portugal. Obviously Kelly resides in Portugal, and I'll be out there on training camps with her and so on, and they says we want to get involved. This is a Irish girlfriend back home, and Kelly says she's going to do well, she's going to go for it, and they says we'll come on board. So they came on board and they've ended up joining the team too, which is brilliant.
Fantastic. So obviously, you know, you've well, you never know, obviously a few years to probably have your picture above the door, you know.
Well, they actually says one day you might come out and fight in Portugal, and I thought, no, that would be good, that would be good. I don't know what the grounds are like, but from what Kelly says, they could have a venue outside. I just don't.
You'll be used to the heat from the super stairs now.
The super stars from John will have stand me instead to play at that stage, yeah.
It definitely will. Well look, Kath, we'll obviously let you get on. We'll obviously sneak in between you having a couple of clients today. We obviously don't want to keep your clients back, but obviously thanks very much for letting us interview you today.
No problem, thanks very much for coming out, really appreciate it.
And fingers crossed you'll obviously hopefully fight you soon.
Yeah, thank you.